I wrote an article on my blog at okfj.net that discussed the modifications I had to make to the Magpul PMAG AC in order to get it to drop freely from an AT AICS. The Magpul PMAG AC is essentially the Accuracy International compatible magazines that Magpul is making. And I have an AT AICS. This is the chassis system designed by Accuracy International for Remington 700 actions. It wasn't dropping freely like a factory mag would. This is a bone stock Accuracy International factory magazine, and if you put it into the stock or the chassis, if you hit the magazine release, it drops free easily, and the Magpul PMAG would not. Essentially, I had to make a modification such that I found that the distance between, or the length of the magazine at various points above the magazine notch or the bump on the magazine that engages the mag lock on the chassis, there were hot spots, and it would exceed the length of a factory magazine. Like the factory magazine, if you run the calipers, you set them and you lock them down, and you run it through the height of the magazine, it would stay a pretty consistent length. But if you would come through here on a PMAG, I found hot spots or high spots, and these little imperfections on this spot, I had to file away to get that reduced in size in order so it would stop hanging up into the chassis and drop freely. So I actually have a factory Magpul PMAG here unwrapped. I'm going to go ahead and crack it open right now, and we'll show you basically what I mean when you have a factory Magpul PMAG AC. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into the chassis. If I insert it and let it lock into place. If I hit the mag release, it doesn't drop. That's because there's that hot spot in there, so it's hanging up in the mag well. I can just hold mag release and pull it out, and basically what's happening is there's these hot spots right here. So let's go ahead and just, if I can put this on camera, if I take a measurement, if I lock my measurement down here right above that magazine bump, I get roughly 3.062. And if I kind of run it up a little bit more, I can find it kind of increases in size or length because there's these little high spots around here. So it's like little imperfections, 3.7 above 3.72 roughly. So it's like it's got this bump right around here. So in the center of this, right along this area right here, it's got this extra material here. I don't know if it's part of the molding process right on the crack. If you see here, there's this little line here, and I think that's part of the molding process when they create this magazine. So I think there's this little imperfection here that causes this extra extraneous material here. It's causing it to hang up in the mag well. So what you need to do is essentially file that away. And if you see here, if you can probably see, I don't know if there's enough on camera here to show you, there's like this rough areas here on this magazine. That's what I had to file away. So essentially, I'm going to file away right around this area here until I get this to kind of flatten out. And essentially with a factory magazine, if I measure it, it's roughly, I would say, under 3, maybe 3.58 is the sweet spot, so 3.059. So under 3.060 would probably be ideal. So if I look here, I'm above that in some spots. Right here I'm above that, so 3.65 roughly. Maybe a little bit here, 3.67, 3.71 at the very top. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on this a little bit and file that away so it'll drop free out of this chassis. So basically I'm going to take a file and I'm just going to go ahead and start working on this middle spot here. And if I use this flat end of the file, I can already see from here that this is not exactly flat. You can tell from the center that the edges of the magazine are not touching the file because that center spot is high. So I'm going to just start filing away that hot spot. I'm going to just try to remove material here. I mean, you should probably go slow, but I mean, to remove a few thousandths, it's going to take a bit of filing here. Even with just this file because it's not very coarse that I'm using. I'm just using some old Craftsman file that I happen to have here on the bench. So I'm sitting here working on this so I can just kind of get that, and you can already see the gray versus the black because that's all the material I filed off, so the finish is coming off. Anyway, you can tell where I'm filing or what material I'm removing from the magazine. So I'm gonna just kind of rub that off, and you can see I'm still working that. And I could test it right now, but I'm pretty sure it's not enough to remove, or not enough material to remove. So I'm just gonna go ahead and work on it just a little bit more. And it's not a big deal if I remove a little bit too much, because that high spot is still present. But I'm gonna go ahead and just remove a little bit more. It's a little bit rough on one side versus the other. Anyway, so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and work that, or see if I can drop the magazine out. If the magazine drops, does not. So it's still hanging up. It does not drop free. So I'm gonna go ahead and work that a little bit more. Let's see if I'll show it here on cam. It seems like I need to, the high spot is still prevalent, so it's like right, if you kind of look at that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working it more. Trying to keep it flat. Okay. See if I can get that to drop free yet. Still hanging up. Seems like there's a lot more material to remove. I'm going to keep working that. So I've taken quite a bit of material off the back end here, and you can see that it's actually starting to flatten out quite a bit, but I'm noticing that there's actually the bump here too. So this is contributing here, this high spot here. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on the front of the mag as well. On the other mag that I had before, I didn't have to make that modification here on the front because I was able to take enough material off to just the back end. But I'm gonna go ahead and remove this bump off the front, and hopefully that should help the situation. So you can see here, after filing down the front, it now has a tendency to loosen up and drop free. So it's still a little bit rough. I'm gonna go ahead and just work on that front end a little bit more. To flatten it out. And that looks like it should be enough. It's looking flat to me. So we check here, I put it into the mag well, hit the magazine, so now it's dropping free. So in summary, I have this fresh out of the wrapper Magpul PMAG AC that I have now modified and dropping freely from the AICS. So you can see here, it drops free, and that's because of this, there's that hot spot on the back and the front. On the other mag, the first Magpul PMAG AC I had to modify, I only had to file off material off the back end. But on this one, I just busted out of the wrapper for this video. I actually had to remove material on the back and on the front. So if you can see on the video, there's this line that runs up and down the magazine. I'm guessing that's part of the injection process, the molding process. There's a hot spot that develops right in that center spot, right there and right there above that magazine notch or the bump. So it causes this length from front to back to be a bit too wide, or too long rather, and so it hangs up inside the magazine well of your chassis. It's, I can actually feel it. It's still a little bit tight going in, but when I hit the magazine release, it's able to drop out. So I could, in theory, file off a little bit more, but for the sake of the fact that this is all flat, relatively flat now on this side and on this side, I think I'm pretty much good to go as far as this magazine is concerned. So this is the one I modified, the first one I modified a couple weeks ago, and this is the one I modified just now for this video, fresh from the wrapper. This tip will work as well for, this is the 5-round PMAG. There's the 10-round PMAG. I actually have one inside the house. I also modified that one. Basically, I just took material off the back. So I have that article on my website at okabj.net. Just look for the Magpul PMAG drop free fix, and you'll see photos of what I had to file. And I'll probably update it because I didn't file the front end on the previous 2 mags I modified, my 5-round and my 10-round. But I'm probably going to update with a few photos of the front side of this magazine to show that I did have to take some material off here. One other note, there is some bolt drag on the Magpul PMAG. If you put it in here, I can actually feel, and you can actually hear the bolt drag against the top of that magazine. To me, that's not a big deal. I'm not sure if this magazine's doing it, the new one. Yeah, it does drag. Some people have noted they don't like that, and they've tried to file this off. Personally, I did file a little bit off, and it still doesn't make too much of a difference, and I'm afraid to take a little bit a lot off because you're changing the characteristic of that feed lip, and I don't want to take so much off that the top round is affected. So I don't know. It's something that I'm not sure if people are concerned with, but I'm gonna just live with the bolt drag. It's plastic, so it's not a big deal against a metal bolt, so there's not much to worry about. If it really bothers you, I guess you can start to work on this, but you need to be careful that if you file too much away from the feed lip, you're going to affect the way that round sits in the top of that top round sits in the magazine and pushes up into the rifle. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully it's helpful for you. These Magpul PMAGs are only $35, give or take, depending on the vendor you get it from, which is a significant discount over the factory Accuracy International magazine. This 5-round Accuracy International magazine, I think it runs for $80, $85 if you buy them, like just from any vendor. So $35 versus $80, $85, I think half the price, less than half the price of a factory mag, the PMAG, with these little caveats of having to modify it and you have that bolt drag, not a big deal. So I would probably recommend buying more of these if you don't want to shell out for metal mags. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you want more information on this specific fix, check my blog, okabj.net, and look for the Magpul AICS drop free fix, and you should find that article, or you can just hit me up on my website. You can find my contact information there. Thanks for watching.